Welcome to Celestial Insights, a weekly podcast that brings the stars down to earth. I'm your host, astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks. My purpose is to provide practical, unique, and insightful guidance to help you navigate the energies of the week like a boss. Hello, this is Celeste of Astrology by Celeste, and on this episode, I will discuss the astrology for the week of December 7th, 2025. The theme of this week is the Gaslight district, and there are three big things I'd like you to think about as you navigate this week. The first is that Neptune, the planet of illusion, delusions, confusion, spirituality, compassion, oil, and the oceans will station direct at 29 degrees of Pisces on Wednesday. When a planet stations, the energy is intensified. And with Neptune, people may be very confused. So be very mindful, especially about drugs, alcohol, and medications. Pisces rules these topics. Neptune is at home in this sign in modern astrology. People can become very confused, taking double doses or triple doses of medication unexpectedly because they're forgetting. People can get really caught up in illusions and confusion. The veil is very thin at this time. So just pay attention to what you're doing. Try not to multitask if that is possible. Neptune is finishing up its work in the sign of Pisces that began in 2011. Neptune takes 14 years to go through each sign and 165 years to go around the zodiac. So you can think back of where Neptune is in your chart. What house is it in? How has your relationship with the topics it rules changed over time? What about your belief systems? Have you become more interested in things like astrology or tarot, religion since 2011? Now, be mindful that there can be misinformation spikes, scammers thriving. We're seeing AI get so realistic, it's hard to tell what is real from what is fiction. There may be some stories about deep fakes or digital deception, which make news around this day. I think there could be important information surfacing about the Jeffrey Epstein situation, possibly the financial trail of how he became a billionaire and where his money was coming from. Because while Neptune is stationing, Mercury in the sign of Scorpio is opposite Uranus retrograde in Taurus. And this Taurus-Scorpio axis is the axis of pleasure, power, and resources. And the Epstein saga has all of that. Pleasure, how he supplied young girls for the world's richest and most powerful people. And in order to, some people think, get compromat on them in order to control and blackmail people. Hack data could come out, shocking financial revelations. The geopolitical tensions over oil may remain high. I don't know if at the full moon the United States attacked Venezuela, but this is quite possible under the false pretenses surrounding Venezuela doing drug trafficking. And what really is going on is that the United States wants Venezuela's oil reserves. There can be big news about these fishing vessels being shot out of the water that has been happening, and the head of the military may be investigated. I'm recording this on December 2nd before the full moon, so I do not know what has happened over the last several days, but it's been a lot. It's been intense. Mars in Sagittarius recently squared Saturn and is moving towards squaring Neptune. Sagittarius rules philosophy, long distance travel, faraway places, universities. Mars is the gas, Saturn is the brake. So there's been some tension there. And now it's moving towards Neptune, which diffuses and spreads things. So it'll be really interesting to see how this energy shows up. It's combustible and confusing. Be really careful because accidents, fires, and impulsive actions will spike over this next couple of days. People struggling with mental health issues may feel really overwhelmed. So make sure to use extra caution with sharp objects while you're driving or moving around. Give hot-headed people extra space. The moon, which rules the people and speaks to our emotions, is in the sign of Virgo. Virgo counts. Virgo is critical. It separates the wheat from the chaff, and it's applying to the South Node. Virgo rules health, systems, and data. So there could be health-related news or a report of a significant system failing coming up at this time. We can be hearing about medical issues and infrastructure problems, like within the United States, that Obamacare subsidies are going away. People's health premiums are going through the roof. There's talk of hospitals closing and things like that. So just really pay attention to what's going on. As a planet is stationing, its energy is most intense 5 days before and 5 days after. If you have any planets in the mutable signs right around 29 degrees, so I would say 28, 29, or 0 degrees of the cardinal signs, you might have a story in your life that's specific to this. People can also feel hopeless with this energy. But Neptune is very creative. This can be an amazing time for artists, writers, really a beautiful energy to let your mind flow, and you may come up with some incredible creative ideas. Neptune is the ultimate manifester. If you don't believe it, you can't make it happen in the real world. I love the Wise Skies digital astrology calendar. It puts the astrology right in the palm of your hand. Planetary transits, moon phases, and retrogrades, so you can plan with the cosmos, not against them. I use it to choose the best times for vacations, work projects, launches, and rest days. You'll get clear daily guidance and some links to deeper resources so that you always know what's happening and how to work with it. My collaborator and friend Tiffany Herlick adds more to it each year. Grab the 2026 digital astrology calendar with my coupon code ABC2026 for a $10 discount. The link is in the show notes. The next thing I want to make you aware of is that we have a last quarter moon at 20 degrees of Virgo on Thursday. This Neptunian action is really casting its energy over this last quarter moon. This is the psychological integration of what came before it in this cycle. The new moon of this cycle was in the sign of Scorpio around November 19th. This is where we metabolize what was revealed over the last 3 weeks for us, as well as the last 27 months of the lunar phase families that I talk about every week. So this lunar phase family, there was a new moon where the sun and the moon were at 21 degrees of Virgo on September 14th of 2023. Think about what was seated in your life at that time. At the first quarter moon, the sun is in Gemini and the moon was in Virgo, both at 23 degrees on June 13th, 2024. The full moon of this cycle was the lunar eclipse with the sun in Pisces and the moon in Virgo on March 13th, 2025, both at 23 degrees. And one of the big stories was about Signalgate, where people high up in the Trump administration accidentally added a reporter to a chat discussing an attack on Yemen. This was a big scandal. We're 9 months after that, where the sun is now in Sagittarius, the moon in Virgo on December 11th, 2025, both at 20 degrees. A Sabian symbol is a girls' basketball team. I think there may be stories about the unraveling of false narratives, maybe a lot related to the Epstein scandal, because Virgo is the maiden. And the South Node is in this sign, and there's a lot of digging up about this story. Notice if you're reading about intense fog, people may feel tired or overwhelmed. Allow yourself to have extra time for rest if possible. Mercury at this last quarter moon is at 29 degrees of Scorpio. Mercury rules the sign of Virgo, so it's ruling this moon. And secrets are going to burst out into the open. The 29th degree is a degree of crisis and decay. It's the anaretic degree, and it's like you've got a secret, and it's so juicy and important. It's like you can barely contain yourself, and it comes bursting out. If you have little kids, notice if they've got to tell you something that's aligned with this energy. Mercury is on the fixed star Ptolemy, which is the storyteller energy. And Jupiter is on Pollux, a fixed star, which is the warrior twin. Castor and Pollux. Pollux is the gritty twin, and there can be stories. Notice if there's something involving siblings or people who are acting like doubles in a criminal network. Pollux protects the vulnerable, so we may hear from survivors or defenders who finally speak. And we've got Mars approaching the square to Neptune. So there's a lot of confusion around this time. Mars square Neptune, that's holy war vibes, where people are willing to go to war about their beliefs. Mars in Sagittarius is a crusader. So notice when people are getting themselves very worked up about ideological themes and being very critical with what they're saying. The last thing I want to make you aware of is that Mercury will re-enter Sagittarius on this same day as this last quarter moon, December 11th through January 1st. This is finishing up the Mercury retrograde cycle that began on November 9th through 29th. Mercury was retrograde and it moved from Sagittarius back into Scorpio, and now it's back into Sagittarius, finishing up its work, marching over its old territory through December 16th. This is a beautiful time to Psychologically integrate what you learned during this cycle. What came up to your conscious attention about your philosophy, Sagittarius, and your shadow energy, Scorpio? Were there any power struggles? What came to light during this time? When Mercury moves into Sagittarius, our collective attention is going to be shifting into overseas trade, international news, political rhetoric, legal battles, court decisions, religious stories, ethical debates may be coming up. There could be scandals involving guru types. So pay attention to what are the news stories that you're seeing on December 11th and 12th. How do they relate to Mercury, which rules our thought processes, communication, transportation, and commerce? Mercury is in detriment in this sign. It's in the sign of its exile. A famous astrologer, William Lilly, I believe he's the one who coined the term, any planet in detriment is like a man cast out of his estate with no hopes of recovery. Now, this brought up themes to me about some Gemini people, because Mercury in Sagittarius is opposite the sign of Gemini, which it rules. Will we hear news about Kanye West, Pete Hegseth? These are Gemini people. Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's coming from outside of themselves. Someone else is talking about them or launching a legal battle against them, potentially. The president of the United States is a Gemini. Notice if you listen to how people are talking. Mercury struggles in Sagittarius because Mercury wants all the information, and Sagittarius is more big picture, so you can have people making statements that are exaggerated. This is a big fish story energy. Someone talking about how they caught the biggest fish of their life. This is know-it-all energy, and big opinions that people have outpace the facts. We may hear stories of whistleblowers or service workers revealing what they saw, or transportation. I have been thinking about a limousine driver. So we'll see if we hear anything about a limousine driver. The episode is called The Gaslight District because of this Neptune stationing, this last quarter moon, Mercury changing signs. Gaslighting is when you try to make someone confused with propaganda or telling them something that is not really true. There is a movie called Gaslight from a long time ago where a newly married woman returns to her murdered aunt's home in London, and she's met this new charming husband who secretly manipulates her into thinking she's going insane. In reality, he's a jewel thief searching in the attic for her aunt's jewels at night, causing the gas lights to dim and trying to break her sanity so she won't uncover his crime. But a detective exposes him and frees her from the psychological abuse. Notice if you see stories reminding you of this movie Gaslight or the topic of gaslighting, be very careful with fire. One of my greatest joys is helping people understand themselves more fully. If you're wanting to make sense of your past, recognize the patterns that have shaped you, or get clearer about the path ahead, astrology can offer real insight. In our sessions, we'll use your natal chart as a map. You don't need to know any astrology at all. You can book a single session for clarity or choose a cosmic coaching package if you'd like ongoing support as you grow and plan for the future. Book your sessions at astrologybyceleste.com on the services page. On Sunday, the word of the day is expressive. I was hearing the song Emotion by the Bee Gees in my head, but Destiny's Child also did a cover of that song. You may want to listen to it, and it's got the energy of this week. The moon is in Cancer as we start the week, so people can be feeling especially tender, emotional, seeking safety and security. And the moon squares Chiron retrograde in Aries. Chiron is the wounded healer, and Aries is about the self. So people can be in their feelings, and then the moon meets Jupiter at 24 degrees of Cancer. This is really big emotions where people may be saying things, and it can be beautiful emotions that are coming up. Mercury in Scorpio is trine Saturn and Pisces. Now they're both direct at 25 degrees of their respective signs. Mercury takes on the nature of what it's talking to. Somebody may be talking about mourning a lost loved one. My little sweet doggy Debo, who was 10 years old, had cancer, and I wound up having to put him down between Saturn stationing direct and Mercury stationing direct because he was in so much pain. I'm sure I'm going to be in my feelings around this time about the loss. The moon in Leo begins at 6:47 p.m. Pacific time, and you may notice a big shift in your energy. You may become more joyful. Leo is fire, and you may feel like you want to watch a movie, be entertained, be a little feisty. If someone got their feelings hurt with the moon in Cancer by something critical someone said, they may get really proud and dramatic when the moon moves into Leo. And we have a disseminating moon where the moon is shedding its light. It's a great time to teach or share things at 1 Leo at 9:04 p.m. Pacific time. And the moon opposes Pluto in Aquarius at 2 Aquarius. So there's a lot of energy Sunday, and people can be really in their feelings. It's big, it's expressive, it's emotional. Just pay attention to what's going on in yourself and around other people. On Monday, the word of the day is postpone. This is the day that Mars in Sagittarius squares Saturn and Pisces, both at 25 degrees. Mars is the gas, Saturn is the brake. Leave early for anything you need to go to because there could be unexpected hiccups. You may find you're driving and a road you typically travel by is under construction, and so you have to take a longer route to get to where you want to go. If you're at the airport, flights may be delayed. There is a higher potential for accidents, so just be mindful that this energy is intense. Mars and Saturn are the malefics. They take away from life. They are in a square. This is tension. Mars is the god of war. Saturn is the grim reaper. People can be ready to go to battle. But if you've been working on something for a long time really hard, this may be the end of the struggle where you complete the task. You may start getting more space in your schedule. On Tuesday, the word of the day is shout. And I was hearing the Black Eyed Peas song, I Got a Feeling, in my head. And one of the lines is, I want to scream and shout and let it all out. Leo moon on this day squares Mercury in Scorpio, both at 27 degrees. And then the moon opposes Uranus in Taurus at 28 degrees. People can be all in their feelings, upset about financial stuff, or it could be a love saga. You may see somebody on the street shouting. The Virgo moon begins at 11:19 p.m. Pacific time. Virgo's job is to bring order to chaos. On Wednesday, the word of the day is mystique. So think about leaving something to the imagination. Neptune stations direct on this day at 29 degrees of Pisces at 4:23 a.m. There can be really bad weather on this day, so it's another day to think about leaving early. This is the day Mercury in Scorpio opposes Uranus in Taurus, both at 28 degrees. Notice when someone tells you shocking information, secrets are revealed. They may be about a lot of upheaval. Somebody may ask you for a loan. Venus on this day is at 13 degrees of Sagittarius, squaring the nodes. The North Node in Pisces, the South Node in Virgo. This is crossroads energy. You may come up to a crossroads about a relationship or a money issue. The moon will meet the South Node at 13 degrees of Virgo on this day. So the South Node throws things down the drain. And what are people losing at this time? On Thursday, the word of the day is biblical. And I don't know if this is about biblical type floods, judgments like King Solomon's judgment, where there were two women who both said a baby was theirs. And King Solomon said, we'll split it in half. And one woman said, don't do that. Don't kill the baby. The other one was, okay, I'll take my half. And King Solomon said the baby belonged to the woman who was going to save its life. There's also themes of biblical plagues like the locust or frogs. So notice what you're seeing in the collective. It was interesting with these ICE protests. Every state is doing things differently. In Portland, when people were standing up against ICE raids, they were wearing these frog suits. When I saw that, I was like, oh my God, this is the plague of frogs. And we are in biblical times because the North Node is in the sign of Pisces, amplifying spirituality themes, religion. Notice we had people thinking there was going to be the rapture when there was that lunar eclipse in Pisces. Mercury is trine Neptune on this day. So Mercury's at 29 degrees of Scorpio. Neptune's at 29 degrees of Pisces. Trines remove all restrictions. This is unbelievably creative. And light can be shed on confusion. So great time to journal, pull tarot or oracle cards. You may have clarity about something you were confused about. This is the day of the last quarter moon at 20 degrees of Virgo at 12:51 p.m. Pacific time. Last quarter moons are the psychological integration. There can be a crisis of consciousness. You may take action with the sun in Sagittarius and the moon in Virgo. There may be big news about systems failing or systems that used to be there that are no longer there. There's a lot about the administration in the U.S. taking away the ability for people from other countries to even get visas. When Mercury enters Sagittarius, there can be some new story about that topic at 2:39 p.m. Pacific time. I've been saying since the spring, I don't think the United States is going to be able to have the Olympics here in 2028. I don't know if at the full moon this was a topic. Last week was called the thrill of victory, but we shall see. The moon in Virgo then opposes Saturn and Pisces. So people are feeling under pressure, blocked, limited but by something, and it may just be the rain. On Friday, the word is hypnotic. The Virgo Moon squares Mars at 27 degrees of Sagittarius. So people can be fired up, ready to go, motivated. Be mindful of what you're eating. You might see someone talking about they ate something so spicy. Mars is in a fire sign that Virgo, their intestines are bubbling. Then the moon opposes Neptune in Pisces at 29 degrees, and someone's running to the bathroom. The Libra moon begins at 8:03 a.m. Pacific time. After running to the bathroom, someone is looking at themselves in the mirror, putting on their makeup, getting themselves back together. Libra has associations with appearances, wanting to bring balance back into life. There is magician energy. I don't know if we'll be hearing more about David Copperfield. He was a famous magician back in the 80s. Apparently, he had stuff to do with Epstein, and his long-term girlfriend was a famous model, Claudia Schiffer. They just came to my mind. We'll see if there's anything about one of them that makes news this week. Think about what hypnotizes you. Where do you get lost in a fog and just enjoying yourself? What themes does the word hypnotic bring up to you? On Saturday, the word of the day is raving. Mars in Sagittarius is quincunx, Uranus in Taurus. Quincunxes move us into new situations where we have to release and let go of something. This gives themes of someone being stark, raving mad about something. It could be their credit card bill. Mercury in Sagittarius is in a sextile with Pluto in Aquarius. Sextiles are opportunities. So yeah, this can be someone embarrassing themselves with what they say in front of a crowd. This can be someone realizing some of their shadow energies about how they feel about a group or an organization. Just notice what's coming up in your thought processes. Someone can say something and be like, oh my God, I feel silly. I can't believe I said that out loud. With Mercury sextile Pluto. Pluto can bring up things of embarrassment and humiliation. And we're moving towards Mars square Neptune. And we'll see there's more and more. The president may be stark raving mad all week because Neptune is quincunx, his ascendant, and in his natal chart, he has Mercury square Neptune. So really notice we may be seeing him really losing it even more than he normally does. That's it for this week's episode. Feel free to email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com with any astrology and action stories, or let me know how the daily themes are playing out for you. If you're watching or listening on YouTube, I love reading your comments. Take care, and I'll catch you next week.
Thank you for listening to Celestial Insights. To learn more about my work, please visit my website, astrologybyceleste.com, where I offer personal readings, horary consultations, cosmic coaching, group events, and classes to help guide people to higher levels of fulfillment. You can also find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook at Astrology by Celeste. If you enjoyed Celestial Insights, please help others find the show. Follow, rate it 5 stars, or write a nice review. I would so appreciate it. I'm astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks, and I'll be back next week.